single moan that I get, I take to him. And I do. Even if I don't agree with your moan, I take the moan over to him. And that way, even if we don't agree on the moan, I think that if the club try and do something to accommodate some of the things that can go wrong, I think we'll have a stronger club and a stronger supporters club. So, you know, it does work, and it will really, really help. So if you do have a moan, send it in, and I'll ring Matt.
As long as it's got a solution with it as well, would be great.
But no, honestly, we do. And obviously, there are some things. I sent him a message today. I don't know if he wants to say what we discussed today about the Hamel End, but there are things that people get in touch with us about. We do get in touch with the club and try and sort it out. If not, we go back with a reason why it can't be sorted out. So I think that's what a supporters club's there for, and I think it's there to help the football club, help the supporters.
We've been working really hard. The Sentinel in particular, I will say, Mark Waddington, who's the editor of the Sentinel, who's with us tonight, has been working extremely hard and has kept us abreast of everything that's going on in terms of listening to the supporters, listening to the club, listening to the supporters club, in the quite apparent lack of Port Vale content that's happened over the last kind of few months online and elsewhere. And we've been really pleased with the relationship we got with Clive. So Clive's the reporter that's doing the stuff for Vale at the moment, but Clive equally has 4 or 5 other clubs that he's doing the same thing for, and he just isn't able to give us the time that we need. But what I'm able to say tonight is we've got Baggers back. So So I'm not going to steal any of his thunder or Mark's thunder, because they just wanted to just pop up and just give, and it is a couple of minutes, but a couple of minutes of a welcome back, a rationale behind it, and what you're going to expect over the next couple of weeks, I suppose. So up you come, Mark, Mike. So I'm not going to steal any of his thunder or Mark's thunder, because they just wanted to just pop up and just give, and it is a
Thanks
couple
very
of
much,
minutes,
Mark.
a couple of minutes of.
Can you hear me okay?
A welcome back, a rationale behind
right,
it,
I won't take much of your time. You're here to see Andy and Dave, not me. But first of all, I wanted to say I can't tell you how thrilled and proud I am to be covering the Vale again after a break. It'll be doing it in a different kind of way. So it's going to be a subscription service. So bad news, I suppose, out the way first. Can you hear me? It's going to be an introductory offer. Right, I won't take much of your time. You're here to see for Vale coverage. But our end of the bargain is it's going to be proper Vale coverage, in depth, emailed straight to you, so no ad breaks or anything like that. They have to put up with on the website. And whereas before I was having to cover 3 or 4 clubs, I haven't got to do that anymore. I'm going to be working purely on the Vale all week. So as I said, proper coverage, in-depth coverage, and we'll be asking you what sort of things you want to talk about really and feature in this newsletter. But that's the gist of it. I've been able to do this thanks to Mark, my editor, who's fought really hard to get the Vale coverage back up to what it should be. So I'll hand you over to Mark now, but I'm here at the end of the night anyway. If anyone's got any more questions, then please do come and see me. But thanks very much, and I'll pass you on to Mark.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah, first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody who, some of you may be in this room, who have emailed me in the last few months about, the inability, particularly to get enough coverage online. Those emails have been invaluable in that I've been able to take them back to the company and explain in pretty colourful language why, I'm extremely unhappy with the way things have been. Now, I will be as honest and as open as I can be in a room full of people, bearing in mind I'm talking about the company that pays my mortgage. So I might have to be slightly diplomatic with how I put this. But in a normal understanding of how a newspaper works, you would imagine that there's an editor and they are in charge of everything that goes on. And to some extent that is true. But in our company, because we're part of a very big company, the sports side of the business and the rest of it, as in, you know, crime, news, features, everything pretty much bar sport, is under my jurisdiction, so to speak. So that means at a company level, decisions get made about sport coverage, and the reality is that we are in the business of what we call programmatic advertising online. That's how we're able to put coverage online for free. And it's a messy business. There's too many ads. There's too much stuff you don't want to see. It takes forever to load up. I get it, believe me, because I'm having to go through the same experience when I'm trying to read my own website to find out what I'm getting sued about this week. So it's not easy, believe me. And I feel that pain acutely. But yeah, decisions were made that I was not happy about, and I knew that, you know, there was an opportunity still here to do something, and not just do the basics, but to do something better. And I think for me, this is an opportunity to take it away from the website and all its problems to actually give a full, you know, dedicated service to fans that doesn't involve having to see any Stoke City, doesn't involve looking at any ads, doesn't involve all the things that you don't like, and involves only the thing that you do like, which clearly tonight has shown me is Mike. And I knew that. That's why I wanted him back. We couldn't have done it without bringing Mike back. I managed to convince him to come. It wasn't hard to convince him, obviously, because, you know, he loves the club, but he had every reason, rightly, to, you know, to be sceptical and to, you know, have to think hard about it. And that's, you know, absolutely right, because, you know, we as a company don't always get things right. This is one of the things I think we can get right, and I would say that because, yeah, it's primarily my idea. But, you know, we can only do it, you know, with the, you know, the support and the buy-in of fans. You know, I understand the frustrations of the last few months. I totally get them. You know, they are my frustrations too. Nobody becomes the editor of a newspaper or a website to, you know, to let people down and disappoint them. So I'm really hopeful that this is something we can do, which I think will, if it works and people put in and get out, then I think over time we'll see this model, you know, spread around the country. I think other clubs will adopt the same, you know, other publications in other areas will adopt a similar way of doing things. I'll be really brief on this, but just to explain again, just to go back to how our business works, why we have to do it this way. I think when people look at a web page on our websites, we get a minuscule amount of money. I mean, it's like well, I can't say what it is exactly, but it's not a lot anyway. And the economy being what it is, the value of those ads depletes over time. So that means that you have to get more volume to basically stand still. It's like, you know, there's come a time where you're going to have to take a wheelbarrow full of page views just to get the same amount of return. And with news that, you know, is big and is worldwide or is a really big deal to a lot of people, you might be able to manage that. When it's the problem is when it's something that's really important but necessarily important to a smaller number of people who you can't, there's no way you can generate that same amount. We haven't got the time to write the amount of coverage that we would need to write, you know, and you haven't got the time to read it. Because we'd have to write thousands and thousands of stories a week just to make things pay, and that, you know, we can't do that. What we can do is give something that people actually want in a slightly different model, a bit like when you think about, you know, crowdsourcing restaurants and things. You know, it's about getting what people want without having to put up with all the other crap that they don't want. And I think, you know, in Mike, we've got the reporter who can do that, who can give that service to fans. It's off the site. You don't have to put up with any of that stuff. Comes straight to you by email, the way you want to receive it. And I think for me, you know, it's one of the best ways to receive news these days. It's the closest thing to just going into a shop, buying a newspaper. But you pay once and that's the end of it per year. So Matt and the guys at Vale have been superb. You know, I came to them with this proposition a few months ago. They've been really, really supportive. You know, we also want to be able to offer something back, you know, to the fans for that support, whether it's, you know, offers, concessions, discounts, you know, whatever it is that we can basically give a bit of reward back. And I think that, you know, it will pay for itself in terms of, you know, the value of things that people get back from being signed up. So that's where we're at, really. So thank you for listening. Thanks for inviting us down tonight. I know how pleased everybody is to have Mike back. I certainly am. It was, you know, I managed to convince my wife to marry me, so managing that, I thought I just about managed to get Mike back, and somehow I have. So thanks everyone for your time. It's really great to be here. It's a privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gents. Right then. To be fair, the only person not happy that Baggers is back is probably the gaffer, because it's another 10 minutes on the press conferences. Sorry about that, gaffer. Blame Matt. Right then, let's get to the bulk of the evening. It is the Football Forum. Are we all aware of how the evening goes? Please, don't all shout at once. It is very simple. We have loads of categories that, well, I say loads of categories. The categories will come up. We will ask questions on those categories, and then there is a chance for any other business at the end. Try to keep your questions relevant to each category. Let's get the two people, the most important two people for this evening in the room. Onto the stage, please welcome the Director of Football, David Flitcroft, and your Port Vale manager, Andy Crosby. So briefly, there are the topics we'll cover: summer recruitment, the current squad, this season's football plan, the long-term football plan, and any other business. So we will go to the first topic, which is summer recruitment. Any questions in the room about summer recruitment? It's been brilliant. Excellent.
What went wrong with the strikers at the end? We were a couple of strikers short, I believe.
What I will say before we answer, if you could put your hand up if you've got a question or come on for the mic, it's for the benefit of the stream at home, or else Matt will get very angry. So the question this time was, what went wrong with the strikers at the end?
Yeah, I think the market, it took us all by surprise. There wasn't the volume in the market. There was players that we thought would be at a value around about 100 grand. Two of the strikers that we believed was 100, 150 grand, they ended up being available at 500 grand. The market just shifted and moved, and it took us out of our range. Wrexham got involved at that level. Bristol Rovers got involved at that sort of level. So yeah, in terms of the demand, the supply and demand, they just weren't there.
It's all right, you say it, I'll repeat it.
Yeah, a young player from Chelsea. So what happened with Chelsea, he went to America on tour with the first team, and he did really well. We was expecting him to, obviously they spent over £1 billion, but still didn't get the strikers they wanted right at the end, and he's ended up at a championship club. We presented to him and his agent. We got vetted by Chelsea. They were really happy with our pitch and a club of choice, and even though we didn't get him, we've still made, you know, a good partnership and a good link with a top Premiership club.
Hello. So I think the recruitment's been 1,000,000 times better than the year before. Is that because of we're spending more money on these kind of loan players, or is it because we're just doing better with the recruitment side of it and scouting them and stuff?
No, everything's in cycles. So we built a promotion-winning team a year before we built it. So I remember us discussing, and Tommy Johnson, his head of recruitment, over on the table, the director's table. And when we built the promotion-winning team, it was designed, but everyone got that 2-year contract. What happens then is that you go up possibly a year too soon. which from the build, we ended up getting promoted out of the league, and then you're left with a group of players, and by right, you know, every one of them players got a fair and equal opportunity to play in League One, and then we got to a January window, and like we said at the last forum, things didn't work out for us, and we ended up going backwards. What we've been able to do by securing Andy and securing the coaching team that we've got, spending and committing to the pitch. We've lost players in the past because of the pitch and facilities. That doesn't happen now. And, you know, we worked long and hard, Andy, didn't we, through the summer on our pitches and our presentations to make sure that we could cover off. We've got an incredible medical team that are getting better all the time, sports science. When you're going for the pitches for the big teams, the top 6, you've got to have that structure to support them players. And we have got that now. There's been a lot of investment from Carol and Kevin and the Shanahans to give us that opportunity. We've got some incredible people at the football club who, you know, if you're going to take one of the, you know, the country's some of the best young talent, you've got to have a backup to do that. We didn't have that previous, but we've got it now.
I don't know if I'm going to get sacked for asking this, but were there any hiccups on the way when you thought you were going to get players, and then there was moments when it was either 50-50, maybe when people were on holiday and planning on doing other stuff throughout that same... How do you kind of, one, deal with that if it's going to go the other way? You think you've got a player and then they could end up somewhere else. And then two, who is it that almost decides between the both of you? Yes, this is something we've definitely got to push harder with. And what's that conversation that happens?
I think to answer the last bit of it is, it's always my final decision. Dave and the recruitment team provide a series of options. We debate long and hard about players and their ability to fit into the profile of what we want as a football club. During the summer, there was so many stories, and we've just been laughing about one now. I was in Mallorca in the summer, and I'm not very keen on heights, I've got to be honest. And I went into the mountains with my wife in Mallorca and got so far up this mountain, and then went round a corner, and there was the thinnest ledge you've ever seen with a drop of about 1,000 feet. And I actually froze, and I mean panicked, and was in tears. I thought the end is nigh. And I eventually got round this corner, and then my phone rang, and it was Dave, and we started talking about a player. So I said, 5 minutes ago, I perhaps didn't think I was going to be here any longer, but yeah, so many stories of the summer where, going back to your point, Dan, about until somebody signs a contract, that's the only time you know you've got them. And we've missed out on 1 or 2 people because they've taken different choices. It's taken time to persuade 1 or 2 people because they've had other options, but ultimately we're trying to sell a product as a whole football club of what we can do and to benefit you as a player, you and your family, and your agent, and if you come here on loan, your parent football club as well. And this is what we're going to try and provide. But until the season starts, it's a lot of talk without a lot of action, obviously. But we've now managed to recruit from Premier League football clubs, some top Premier League football clubs. We've got good relationships with those clubs now in terms of their directors of football, their loans managers, their under-23 coaches, their boards of directors, and I think from the outset they will see now that the likes of Ollie and Alfie, Kofi and Josh have come to the football club. They've been really well looked after off the pitch. Hopefully they're going to, if and when they go back to their parent clubs, they go back as better players and better people. And we've given them everything that we said we were going to do in the Zooms and the telephone calls and the numerous meetings we've had.
The one that we lost was Lorraine, the gaffer's wife, and it got long. There was a presentation that nearly went on 2 hours. Usually lasts for an hour. So halfway through, it's going dark, and all I could see were his teeth. And I'm talking to these teeth, and the next minute,
they haven't been whitened now.
And he just went, "Lorraine." I said, "Where is she?" And she's in a bar down there, I'm going to have to go and see. And it were like, we thought we'd lost her at one point, didn't we?
Yeah.
She went wandering off. But yeah, in
It's not the
terms of
first time
players,
she's wandered off.
to get the 13, 14 players that we've signed, we've probably had to go through and present to at least 40, speak to probably 60 people, present to probably 40. And we got sick at one point, the agent or the club saying to us, honestly, it's the best presentation, we've made us feel at home, we think this is the club of choice, but, and it can be for various reasons, and yeah, it's one of them that floors you, but you go again. And in recruitment, you can't stay low for too long. You've just got to go on to the next one. But like Andy's talking about, going back to that profile, really important that you understand the profile. And again, going back to the strikers question, sorry, we wanted to sort of go with 2 strikers, and it was really important at the start of the season. Then when the market moved and we saw that there wasn't that striker out there, we looked to then change the system. And that helped us and give us more opportunity to then go and look at an Alfie Divine, an Ollie Arblaster, a Chislett. You know, so again, we had to be flexible in that moment because the strikers were just out of our reach in the price bracket.
I agree the recruitment has been brilliant, but some of them, Arblaster, Divine and Thomas, are all loanees. Firstly, how confident are you they'll still be here after January? And secondly, if not, have you already got other targets in mind?
We've just come out of a 90-minute meeting discussing that very topic. So we're planning for every eventuality. When young players come in on loan and they're successful with us, does it open up other options for them? Potentially. All we can do is keep our end of the bargain, look after them off the pitch, trying to make them better players. If their parent clubs decide to recall them, or these clubs maybe higher up the football pyramid, there's nothing we can do. We can only be the best version of ourselves, and that's what we'll try and do.
I think as a football club, we're well best placed in terms of how we look after players when they come, how we look after the families. Alfie Divine's mum, dad and family was in the boardroom on Tuesday night. They're delighted with his progress. They're delighted with how he's fit in. Spoke to Tottenham for an hour yesterday about Alfie's well-being and how he's fitting into the squad and fitting into the team. So all that will stand us in good stead. But I think, you know, like Andy's alerted to, an hour and a half in, we're looking at all them red flags, people that, you know, where could they go to? Could somebody keep them? And, you know, again, we might be fighting off bids for some of our players because we've got a group of players that are excelling in League One, and other clubs, you know, will possibly want to take some of our stock.
Yeah, with regard to Ollie Arblaster, he'll get far more win bonuses if he stays here than if he goes to Sheffield United. But also, can I just ask you how you persuaded Connor Ripley to come? Because last season he was the best keeper in the division. And all summer I was thinking, oh God, if only we could get Connor Ripley. And then you did. How did you do it?
Persistence, absolute persistence. Went for him early. We didn't leave him alone. He went to America.
New York, yeah.
New York, and we stalked him. Then I got Andy to stalk him when I'd had enough. And we just double-teamed him, and we just kept asking him to think about us. He had good options. But again, I think the club we've become and we're becoming, he's come for that as well. You know, when we told him about the football plan, and the way that Andy wanted to play and the way that the team wanted to play, and with his passing, his personality just suited that. I think the last forum I talked on getting the strategy wrong around goalkeepers, and you know, not investing enough into probably having 2 similar goalkeepers over the 2.5 years I've been here. So we moved that metric, and we went for a top quality keeper. And again, persistence from Andy, persistence from myself, and the support again of the board to give us that ammunition to go and get the best in the league.
Any more questions on summer recruitments?
Do the club still have a pay structure where we won't go above, or is that not the case anymore since we got promoted?
No, we've got a budget that we work to, and it's it's a budget where we're comfortable with. We've assembled this squad, and we do believe over a number of years it'll regenerate money for the football club, then to maybe invest in other players. We've got a youth system that's coming through that's allowing us to invest potentially in the future. So yeah, we've got a budget that we're comfortable with, and one that we're very disciplined with. And you've got to be. It's really important that from any club that wants to be sustainable in the future, we have a budget what we are as competitive as we can be, but spend every penny as wise as we can be. And I think we've done that this summer.
Any more questions on summer recruitments?
Just going really on the strikers thing, back to that. Willow's only got a contract till January. Are we talking to him as well? Because the last thing we want to do is lose him as well when we're short.
Yeah, we've got a plan for that. We're just monitoring Willow's numbers, making sure, again, I think that the thing over the 2 years with Willow has been the availability and making sure we make him as robust as he can be. He's committing to every programme we've given him. He's committing to all the off-field work, and he's been outstanding with his off-the-field stuff. We'll be negotiating. We're not currently as we speak now, but it's something as we start going towards the window we will be doing, and we'll just keep you posted on that. Absolutely, but we've got a different Willow. The gaffer's changed his mindset, changed the way he thinks, changed the way that he feels about the squad, and honestly, Willow's mind shift has been just incredible.
We'll move on to the next category then. And that is the current squad. We've spoken about it a bit. Any other questions about the current squad? Of course, Tom Amos at the back of the room.
What's the situation with Tom Conlon? Is he with the squad? Is he injured still, or?
Tom Conlon's been obviously out for a period of time with a hamstring injury he picked up in pre-season, which was quite a severe one. He's been back outside now, I would say, for the last 4 weeks in terms of rehabbing with the medical team and strength and conditioning group. He's hit his top speed today in terms of high-speed running, which is usually the final clearance for someone to return to full training. So in terms of his injury, he's right at the end of that now, and has always been part of the group, on and off the pitch. Absolutely.
Any other questions about the current squad?
Do you have an update on Ryan Loft and when he might be back, and how you see him fitting into the team? Because he's a different type of striker than the others that we've got at the moment.
In terms of his injury, I think like a few of the players who've come and joined us not at the start of our pre-season, you could see a difference in terms of their fitness levels, the intensity of which we try and train at every single day. And I think he was a little bit short of that. But unfortunately, he's now picked up a calf injury, which is going to rule him out for, say, a period of time. But what Ryan has done is fit in really well with the group. We've recruited him because he's a different profile as a number 9, and looking at how we're trying to play, he brings a different set of skills to our group, and he complements the other players we've already got.
No further question on current squads. Ooh, in the last minute.
How difficult do you find it balancing the players in terms of the squad that you pick, in terms of satisfying their needs against what you think the needs of the team is for the match on a Saturday or Tuesday?
every decision I make is for the good of the group, not for the good of the individual, and I've explained that to them, and I'll continue to explain that to them. Does that cause frustration and disappointment? Of course it does. They all want to play every single game. They all think they're fit and fresh and the best player and playing at the top of their form until I perhaps show them otherwise that they're quite not at that level. But yeah, I think we're now 9 games in and 3 cup games in, and touch wood, we've got a large pool of players who are available, who have benefited from the rotation of the squad and of the team. We've started off with a hectic schedule in terms of midweek games, and then obviously it settled down by missing the international break game, and now we're in a process of playing 8 games in 24 days. So as much as you guys think that a player can play every single game every 3 days and be at his optimum, I would suggest otherwise. We've obviously got all the information which you guys unfortunately haven't, and I'm ultimately paid to make decisions, which is again for the best of the group. Will I always get that decision right? Unfortunately not, but I have a lot of information, and I take a lot of time and try and make the right judgment to pick a team which I think can win a game, and win a game in different ways against different opponents.
Next question. We'll move on to the next category then, which is this season's football plan. And before we take questions about the football plan, if you could just explain to us what it is. What is this season's football plan from you two? The toughest question, apparently.
What do you mean by football plan?
What is the overall plan for this season? How are we going to utilise the squad? What are the aims as well? So the aims of the football club this season.
The aims of myself and the coaching staff and the group of players, and I'm sure you've heard me say this now a number of times, we want to be competitive in every single game. So whoever we play in whatever competition we play in, we want to be competitive. We want to run, and we want to be able to run for 100 minutes or 115 like the first game was. We want to sweat, and we want to show you guys at the end of the game that whoever is representing us does care and does want to leave everything out on the pitch. And as long as we can do that, I think we'll be in a decent place. In terms of style of football, I've obviously got my ideas on how I think that the game should be played. That's evolving all the time in my own head, and me trying to get my ideas across to the coaching staff and to the players. But I think we've got a very good group of players, and a group of players who suit a more technical possession-based game. And I think you look and you learn, and I'm constantly looking at coaches at the top level of why have they done this and why have they done that. And I was a lower league footballer. I played 700 games, and most of those were in League Two. And unfortunately for me, I stopped getting coached when I was 18. I didn't get coached, and I think English football now, British football, there's some excellent coaches out there, some excellent young coaches who want to grow, who want to develop players, and I think you can develop anyone if you've got the mindset that you want to develop yourself. And again, that was part of the mantra of bringing a lot of these players in the summer. They had to be coachable. They had to want to improve. I want to be the best manager I can be. I'm sure Dave wants to be the best director of football he can be. So our players are tested out there every single day. I want them to improve. I want them to start the next week and think, what am I going to learn? And I know we're playing a style of football which is going to get better, I hope, over a period of time. It's not as good as I want it to be every single day, obviously, and we're going to make errors. But I think you guys dedicate your time, and you dedicate your money, and you dedicate a lot of your life to this football club. And I want you to walk away at the end of the game thinking, they tried to entertain us. I want you to walk away thinking, I really love what our football club's trying to do. And I think if we can do that, rather than you walking away thinking that was boring. I don't want to kick the ball 90 yards down the pitch and hope we win a header and hope we win a second ball. I want us to dominate the ball. I really think that's the way to go. And we've recruited a group of players to do that. So hopefully over time we can marry the two things up, and our players can improve, our team can improve, and you walk away at the end of the game thinking, and know exactly what they're trying to do.
I think that marries obviously the reason or Crozer earned the job and got given the job is for everything he's articulated there. The club's plan is to develop everyone at the football club, so everyone we see not on the football pitch, everyone's got their own programme, we've got a growth mindset at the football club, and whatever that is. You've heard Matt tonight talk about improvements and continual improvement. That's what the football club is. I'm not going to sit here, and Carol won't sit here and make a statement on what we've got to do this season or what we want to do this season, but what we can assure every supporter and every person connected to Port Vale is that we get better every day. We genuinely get better every day. We make mistakes every day, but we own them and we get better. I see the football and I see the football product. That connects then to, you get a James Plant who comes from an academy. We're trying to play the right way through the academy. That's cascaded down from Andy's model and match model. And then when James Plant comes into the team, that were the crisps. Feel better now. Doritos, chili heatwave. No, and that connects back to the plan. So you get someone like James Plant, who the lads and all the staff are calling son of Crosby. And straight, I go back to Ipswich, when there was a lot on the line against Ipswich, and when Andy spoke about playing James Plant and giving him that sort of real-time debut, he went back into the numbers, the figures, the data, and he had a real reason for playing him. It wasn't there was a physical reason, and again, just because of his focus and who James Plant is, he played that game against the fittest players in the league and the best players in the league against Ipswich, and he showed where he was at on the football map. You have to play to a system. You've got to play. We recruit to that system. We recruit to that model, and it's really important that they're connected. Do we want to sell players at a football club? Absolutely. If we sell players, will it get reinvested? Absolutely. And that's what the football club is. We've got to make this club sustainable. We've got to keep driving it towards improving, and the two are married together, and that's the important thing now at the football club, that the academy connects to the first team and the first team connects to the academy, and I can safely say that we're working towards that on a daily basis with some outstanding people, some of the most hard-working people. Been in football a long time. The hours that these guys puts in, the hours the academy people put in, the hours that Carol, Patrick, Tommy Johnson, Matt, honestly, I could go on and on and on. Everyone at this football club, Roberto, he's just here all the time. These people just don't stop. And, they're a credit to the football club. We're lucky that we see them work every day. But we can just assure you that the club's trying to get better. If we get things wrong, please stick with us. From a playing style, I've heard, fans booing when the ball goes back once or twice. We're trying to shift their team around. We're trying to unbalance their team. We're trying to make that one effort. Like Andy says, you won't see just big awful balls getting booted into the box and a big striker nodding it down. It's not what we want to do. It's not something that we think is conducive. And we believe that if you put players into the system that we want to create, we'll get maximum value for them out the other side.
Does last night's draw change anything going forward this next month with regards to, would you maybe look at the Cheltenham game the Saturday before or the FA Cup game the weekend after and think maybe rest a few players in either of them with the opportunity of getting in the quarter-final of the League Cup? Or
from my point of view?
But, you're the bloke picking the team, yeah, so yeah.
Does it change?
Because obviously we've never seen the quarter-final of the League Cup.
I think everyone in this room wants to get to the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, but I think I'm asking it on the basis of, I think if you ask everyone in the room what would they rather lose to Cheltenham or Mansfield? I'd rather lose to Cheltenham and be in the quarter-final of the League Cup, because I think we can recover from that.
Would you rather win both games?
Yeah, I'd rather win both, obviously. But It just
So that's what I'll be trying to do. I'll be trying to pick a team to win both games
Yeah.
of football. Like I'll be trying to pick a team to win Saturday's game of football. And because of the schedule and because of the amount of midweek games, as I've said 5-10 minutes ago, those same players can't keep churning out the level of performance. Ultimately, there's going to be an injury, there's going to be a dip. I think our performances have been quite consistent. Whoever's been out on the pitch because they know the job, they know the role within our team. I'm sure, I don't know how many people are in the room. If I said to you now, what's our strongest team? I'm sure there'd be a variety of opinions and choices for a number of reasons. So I'll keep trying to make a decision based on what I think is best for our team, and I'll try not to be influenced by possibilities and outcomes. I try and stay in the present as much as I possibly can to make a decision with no emotion, and then rightly or wrongly, go for it.
Andy, going back to the first game of the season, Barnsley.
What first game of the season?
What was going through your mind?
Fleetwood at home.
What was going through your mind at the end of that game? And can I just say the turnaround since then has been fantastic. But what was actually going through your mind after that game?
It wasn't how I dreamt it the night before. It's taken a long time for me to be a manager of a football club, and I've worked for a hell of a long time to try and get into this position. I wanted an opportunity to be the manager of the football club, to try and express everything what's going off in my own head on a football pitch and how I treat people and players and playing style, etc., etc. But to answer your question, it was an extremely disappointing afternoon. And when you're asked to speak to the press immediately after the game, it's very difficult when you've been beaten 7-0 to say that anything was any good within that game. The people who were at that game, I would suggest, and the people who then looked at the game afterwards and looked at the stats from that game would suggest to get beat 7-0, if you played that game again, perhaps you were unlucky. But we got beat 7-0. The immediate aftermath of that game in the dressing room was I tried to stay very calm with the players and point out some of the things which couldn't continue after game one. The players were as disappointed as everyone else with the scoreline, and it gave me a good 24, 36 hours to think about, okay, well, what's the next thing? Because we can't change it, but we can change what happens going forward. So watched the game back, spoke to a few of the players. I got messages from our own players saying how they felt and what they thought they'd done and let people down, etc., etc. But we came back in on the Monday morning and we did exactly like we've done for every game since. We came in this room at 10 o'clock, we looked at that screen, and we highlighted the things we'd not done particularly well on that day. And there was some obviously glaring errors as a team. And we started putting them right. And it's credit to everyone within the football club, the support I got from Carol immediately after the game, the support I got from Dave immediately after the game, the support I got from the staff, the players, my own family. It wasn't a place I wanted to be. To your first game of football as a manager, you're getting pumped 7-0. So a real test, but I say it's credit to everyone that the response of the whole football club has been good. And we now sit here at the end of September, having had an half-decent start.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to say it, no one in this room is, but ultimately the long-term plan's obviously got to be the championship. But credit where credit's due, after the first game of the season, where we are now, fourth round of the cup, you know, it's hats off to you. The recruitment's been excellent. But long-term, for a club this size, it's obviously got to be the championship for the plan. That's just my view.
Yeah, I think we've made no secret, and we obviously want to get there. I think that when you try and get there too soon without everything in place, obviously, you know, this season we've had our issues with certain things with the stadium that we're trying to rectify all the time. It's not just the team; it's the football club. This football club, 4 or 5 years ago, was just run down. It was run down. It needed everything needed to change, and that investment is just continuing. And that's what we're looking at. We're making sure that every member of staff's right, our medical support's right, to try and get their recruitments right. We have got the smallest recruitment team in the league. We're looking to bolster. We're looking to support every sort of department, and we're trying to do that. All we can guarantee to the fans is that we want to build every department. We want to build every part of the football club. There's some exciting stuff, going on behind the stand that we're working towards. A training ground with a gym and offices and a cinema for the players, and a lot of the work Andy does is all around the analyst work that we've got. In my opinion, we've got the best analyst team in the league and possibly the league above. Incredible people, and we're trying to give them a facility that they can utilise and get better from. But we've got an incredibly ambitious owner in Carol and Kevin and the Shanahans, and they want to drive this club, but we have to build an infrastructure around it, and that's what we're trying to do. And day by day, we're trying to get better at that. So we've got the same mindset, the same ambition, and we're building out towards that.
What was the thought process of the skipper and the vice captain?
Excuse me. Throughout my time at the football club, Nathan's everyday standards, his availability for games, his leadership qualities, his connection with the football club, having come through the system, and his connection with you guys as fans, I thought that needed recognising, and so far, so good. In terms of naming Funds as the vice captain, I saw someone last year who was almost suppressed in a way in terms of what I thought he could actually do, and I think you've seen a level of performance from a player now which is really high. I would suggest there's not a better central midfield player in League One currently than Funds and Ollie. I think they play together really well. And he's also an extremely good professional. He's, unfortunately for him, over the age of 30. But when we came back for day one of pre-season, Funds was leading the work and leading the running, and he sets a fantastic example, both on and off the pitch, to the young players within the group. The likes of, obviously, Planty, Jack Shorrock, Reece Walters, and both those players are a couple of a really strong senior group of players who I want to provide an example to the younger players of what being a professional footballer is. It's not just 90 minutes on a Saturday afternoon, unfortunately. It's everything you do Monday to Friday here, and most of the time away from here, and are you being the best professional you can, and those two are trying to get everything out of themselves they possibly can to be the best versions of themselves, because it's a short career. Nathan has been at the football club, I think, 400 years. He's probably got another 200 to go, but time flies. I don't know how many games he's played, but he's got to make the most of every day, and if he wants to fulfill his potential, he has to keep looking to improve, just like Jack Shorrock does. Every day has to be a day that you're trying to get better at something. I think Nathan's game, perhaps what he was asked to do when he first came through the system, and how football was being played here, and maybe at that time is different now. So I think you guys will certainly see a better version of Nathan in possession. He actually now likes the ball at his feet. So yeah, that's the reason why.
Funds
You really wouldn't want to, mate.
I mean, that's a great testament, and obviously you see him for 90 minutes. What Andy sees, what we see, is what he does for the younger players, and that example during the week as well, you know. And that's the key, when you see him have that influence on and off the pitch as a role model, and you can't have enough of them in a dressing room.
Next question. We'll move on to the next category then, which is the long-term football plan. We spoke a bit about what supporters think. But Dave, we'll go to you to start with this one. For you as director of football, what is the long-term football plan in your opinion?
Again, I think I've said this on a couple of occasions, but a lot of the new football clubs now have gone on to retail parks and gone over to gone away from the communities that they serve. I think when I first come to the club and met Carol, her biggest driver was this football club being right at the heart of everything that we do. I was a very, very big advocate of what used to happen at the football club was you'd come and that weight of that loss, you've got a lot of people working at the club, the weight of the loss, the players felt it, the staff felt it, and I was really under the impression as a director of football that we probably needed to be away from the club with a new training ground and not come to the club, because people couldn't hide it, they couldn't hide that loss. And in an elite environment, like Andy's just alerted to, after that 7-0, straight away they're looking for that next win, they're looking for that next build. Andy's a coaching manager. He wants to be he loves the technical side, the tactical side. He wants to be on the coaching ground. So it was really important that we got that right. And me and Carol fought for probably 6 months because I didn't think it was right that we had the training ground connected to the pitch and the stadium. But I got it so wrong, and we then had a real good discussion. It was a walk up to Starbucks, wasn't it, where we really sort of sat down and said, right, well, what do we want to do? And when we then looked at the vision of what it meant, and then the funeral drive-bys and the way that the club stops and the way that Andy stops the team and everyone, as that escort and pays the respects, then you realise what the football club is about and who it's about and who it's for. With that connectivity, and you're right in the heart. We're right in the heart of the area that we serve. What can we achieve, and what can we achieve as a football club in terms of plans and long-term plans? To have something behind the football club that can serve the first team, the academy, and the girls' football that we're trying to improve and facilitate and make better. Then that holy trinity of the three different facets that we serve at the football club. We've just got to make sure that we keep improving them facilities all the time and keep getting better at every level. Whether that's wanting our ladies team to get promotion and keep driving up the leagues, the academy teams to keep winning football matches and producing players, and the first team to keep driving towards the 3-point feeling every Saturday. And it's just taking everyone on that journey. I think that's the key at this football club, taking everyone on that journey, and again linking it into the plan. We believe we've got to do more comms on that, letting you all know what the plan is and connect that, so that when you see it out on the pitch and when we're getting loan signings, you know that. But for the first 2 or 3 years, there has been a struggle at the football club, and we're out of that fight now. Now the next bit is continually to keep getting better, driving standards. I've seen the standards go up 50-60%, and we will leave some people behind on that journey as the standards go up, but that's progress, that's success, and that's the plans for this football club in terms of medium to long term.
Questions about the long-term plan?
I put an article in the programme a couple of weeks ago about Brighton and the rise of Brighton, and they started not so long ago. They were in the bottom division, and they were within one goal of going out of the league. And look where they are now, the 3rd in the Premier League. And they've done that over a period of time by good planning by good recruitment, and that's exactly what I want us to do. And I don't think anybody should look back and say, Port Vale in the Premier League, Port Vale in the Championship, never. Because Brighton have done it, so why can't we?
I played for Brighton in 1999, and we played at an athletics track, which was an absolute stinker of a day out for the away team. But that's where Brighton were then, without their own grounds. They'd spent the previous 2 seasons, I think, playing at Gillingham. So the back end of the 90s wasn't great for Brighton Football Club. But if you look at them now, I think they've had a plan. They've stuck to the plan. The plan's had some bumps. They've had to deviate at times, but they've got where they've got to with an owner who's invested in the football club, who's got the football club at heart, who wants to see the football club grow. And it can't only be the team on the pitch which grows, it has to be the whole football club, and all those things are connected together. And there's other examples as well. Brentford, Luton Town were in the National League Conference, I don't know how many years ago. It wasn't that many, but now that they're in the Premier League as well. So clubs grow. Unfortunately, some clubs suffer as well for a variety of reasons, and they're usually the ones with poor ownership and without a plan, and they then suffer, and you guys ultimately then suffer as fans. And I think, as Dave's alluded to, that this football club has been in a much worse place not many years ago, and it's down to Carol and Kevin and the family of how they've rescued this football club from where it was going to. And they've now got people on board who work at the football club, who've got the club's interests at heart, highly ambitious people who want to get better and who are willing to sacrifice time and hours to help this club grow. And who knows where the ceiling is.
Next question. We can move on to the final category then, which is any other business. This could go west. Could be anything. Any questions specifically about football? We will be having a club forum soon. So any questions about football towards Andy or Dave?
Might not be you, Dave, but when's the half of the Lord Street going to be finished, please?
Yeah, that one's not for me, that.
Not you,
I
okay.
can't answer that one.
And it's definitely not for me.
Fantastic question, not about football. Next question.
Obviously, strikers are gold dust. Have you got anything coming through the academy you think will make the grade?
Strikers are gold dust. And young Bailey's made his debut in the EFL Trophy a few weeks ago and got great experience from that. There's a number of really, really good young players coming through the football club in the different age groups, of which a lot of people deserve a lot of credit. Who knows where Bailey's career can go to. Bailey's going to have to get a lot of things right, as every single young player is at the football club. So they are gold dust. That's why they earn fortunes.
And just a question today. You seem to have upset the Halifax Town manager. Could you enlighten us?
No, it's a strange one, really, because obviously Jesse Deborah was someone that a lot of people was tracking, and we thought it was out of our reach with the clubs that had went in for him, and then he sustained an injury, and that sort of dipped on the interest, but our interest then went high. Again, a testament to the medical team. We brought Jesse in. He'd had a really poor rehab. I never mentioned Halifax, if I'm being honest, but he went away from the club and got some rehab, and that was the worry, that he'd gone away and not had the best rehab possible. We then had him for about 4 weeks where we really did some work on him. The deficit in the injury to his good hamstring was quite high, but we're talking about a character here. Honestly, we are talking about an absolute outstanding person, first and foremost, someone who's just desperate to do well and and it was me and Andy was talking about this afternoon that his face, when you told the story, Andy, about his face when you give him the opportunity, incredible.
Yeah, on Friday he travelled for the first time with a group to Cambridge, and I just said to him, where do you think you're currently at in terms of peak fitness? He said, yeah, I think I'm not too far away. So I said, I'll make sure you do your work post-Cambridge game really well. There's a game coming up on Tuesday, which you might well be involved in. So he came down to training on Monday morning. I said, well done for your work post-game on Saturday. You'll be involved tomorrow night. And his face lit up, and that love for football was all over his face. And I think his performance when he came on the pitch on Tuesday night, a crucial stage of the game, was a credit to him. He's an incredible kid. He really is. He's a top human being. He's a credit to his family, and you know, hopefully he can have a really successful Port Vale career.
I have to question your powers of persuasion. I think at the last forum, Billy Sharp was brought up, and he's ended up in LA and not Burslem, and I don't understand why you couldn't sell Burslem a bit better.
I can't work it out neither, mate, no.
Next question.
Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the Mansfield game. Just wondering, watching the draw last night, were you happy to take a team like Mansfield, or were you hoping for a big team yourself? What's your view as a manager? We always want the big away day, but what's your actual view?
We played Crewe in the second round, and part of the team talk was the possibilities of getting through to the third round when the European teams come into it, the Premier League teams who are in Europe who come into it, and the possibilities of being successful in that game, and you might get one of these teams. And then the draw happened, and we came out with Sutton at home, which was an extremely difficult game. And you then talk about it after the game, and there's 16 teams less, and you go into the draw last night, having watched the final half hour of Newcastle against Man City, and I thought Newcastle were incredible against Man City last night, and the draw comes on, and you're obviously debating amongst my wife and my daughter, who do you want to get, where do you think we'll be, blah, 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 and Mansfield come out first, and then we come out. So, as I said to the press this afternoon, I'm sure that they'll look at it as a chance to get to the quarter-final against a team who are only one league above them. Are we looking at it in the same context? Absolutely, of course we are. To be in the final 16 of a major cup competition is credit to the whole football club. It's credit to the rotation of the team and the squad, and whoever's been out there has got us this far. And the EFL will have at least two teams in the quarter final, which again is credit to the football league clubs. And I think that the level of football is growing in the Championship, League One and League Two. I think players are maybe coming down now from the Premier League, and the quality of football is improving year upon year. So, yeah, Mansfield away in the last 16 of the Carabao Cup is a game that we'll look forward to, but I think we've got another 25,000 games before we play Mansfield, or so it seems. So,
next question. This is the final topic. Oh, Gina.
Just a quickie. The pitch has improved dramatically this season. The goal that Josh Thomas scored on Tuesday, would he have scored that last season, or would he have run out of juice running through the mud before he got there?
We spent a lot of money, investing a lot of money, and every credit to Steve, the groundsman, the hours that they've put in and the knowledge that these guys have got. They deserve a special mention because they put a lot of time into it and effort into it. But I think in terms of the performances, since I've been here over the last 2.5 years and I've played on the pitch, it's always been one of them pitches that saps you. People talk about it being a big pitch, which we know it is, but genuinely it saps you. It's held the water in the profile. We've got that, and we've had some really, really heavy downpours, in the games that we've had. and it's got rid of it. We've been really happy with the performance of the underneath of the pitch, which you're alerting to the top of the pitch. So yeah, it's something that we've invested in, and it's come up good for us.
I think, as Dave's alluded to as well, the pitch last season cost us players in terms of recruitment. You can present so many things about what you want to try and do, but when the players look at the pitch and they think, well, what the hell am I supposed to do on that? And would the style of football that we're trying to play now, would you have been able to do that on last year's pitch? 100% no. So it's credit again to the football club for investing in the money they did. It was a costly exercise, but hopefully it will bear fruit, and the product you guys see and the ability of the players to play really good football will hopefully create more good players, more saleable assets. The business will continue to grow, the football will get better, and we'll all be smiling about it.
Just a question on we've seen another one of our youth players leave today. I'm sure you're not going to tell us how much these players go for, but what kind of is the makeup of that deal? Is that kind of money now? Are we hoping he plays for England and we get a fortune? Is that money kind of being invested into? Is it going to buy us a forward, or is it just going to top up what's already in the academy kind of thing? What kind of is it going to be? Is it life-changing money for a club of this size, or that kind, not him, but that kind of?
It's not life-changing money, and the reason why is we invest really heavily into a Cat 3 academy. Some clubs invest say 20% into the academy, but we invest heavy amounts into the academy because we want the best people, we want the best teachers, we want the best coaches, and we believe we've got that at Category 3 level. It's allowed us, the Michael Mills deal to Newcastle allowed us to build a profile that we can negotiate, and we do want to negotiate with the top clubs, the Cat 1 clubs. Then the Aston Villa one, again, just incredible credit to people like Kevin Scott, who's just out all the time searching and recruiting players for us. The Danny Lloyd, the 18s, Matty Dawn, Will Ryder is he's doing an incredible job. The work that these guys put in, it's just non-stop. Honestly, 60, 70 hours a week for the football club. They've got a passion for it. So what it does allow us to do is keep investing. We've looked at the sports science, we've looked at the nutrition. Planty has sort of changed the dynamic of the academy and what we look for. The numbers at the top level now, the numbers what Cros is demanding from the team. From a physical data, it's gone through the roof. It's moved again. It moves every game, and now we've got to make sure that the academy is catching that up. We've brought a nutritionist in to help us again make them players better, fitter, stronger, faster. I look at our team now. It's mobile. It can run. It's dynamic, and now we've got to cascade that down to the 18s. It was a brilliant figure that we've got for the lad, but he's a top talent, and if he then goes and develops over the next 5 years, the beauty of the Cat 1s is that they've got an 18s, a 21s, and a 23s. So a late developer can have 6, 7, 8 years developing at that level before he even hits the Premiership, and that's what we're hoping to do. And if there's all sorts of add-ons and caveats in there. Everything's thought of, whether it's the appearance, an England appearance, a 21's appearance. It's all built into the contracts that we negotiate.
You sort of touched on it briefly there, but obviously with sort of this season and sort of back end of last season, we've had 4, maybe 5 academy players make the first team debut. We've obviously sold two academy players to top Premier League clubs. Is there any sort of plans in place to move from a Category 3 or Category C academy up to a Category 2 academy, so that we can then maybe look at selling 6 or 7 players to Premier League teams? Or
not at the minute. Again, we've got a real focus on the first team, and making sure that we build the infrastructure for the first team. It's the most important team and thing that keeps everything going. But in terms of the academy, to go from a Cat 3 to a Cat 2, you need certain facilities, you need a certain number of pitches, you need a dome, you need a 21s team. To build a 21s team, you're probably looking with wages, coaches, sports science support, you're probably looking between 450 and 600k a year to just run a 21s team. So it's highly expensive. We believe that we've got sort of a Cat 3 Plus academy, and it's outstanding, but that's because we invest heavily and invest extra in it. And in only probably 18 months of Will being here, we've gone from the 91st worst performing academy to an academy that now, this week in the training camps, the England training camps, we've had another 2 youngsters in the England training camps. So again, so much work going on behind the scene. We look after 120, 140 kids in the academy, and we see them as people that we can improve and that we want to improve. But we've had to invest in some really good teachers, some good coaches, and then the next level is then investing in infrastructure to build an academy where, you know, it'll be almost like a football factory. We'll be churning great players out of there. If we can get them to the first team, brilliant. If they've got the physical capabilities like Reece Walters, you know, he can then come through and go into the first team. If they're going to be late developers, there's always a potential then that they'll go early, go and connect to a Premiership club, and then, you know, in years to come, a late developer could become a future Premier League star.
Dave, you mentioned at the beginning about the plan involving the first team, the academy and the women's. The women's team play on Sunday at Vale Park in the second round qualifying of the Women's FA Cup, which is further than they've got in the history of the club so far. So from your side, how involved are you with the women's, and what is the plan for women's football?
I think with Carol being the owner and her energy and ambition and enthusiasm for anything at the football club, doesn't matter what it is, the main focus over the last 2.5 years has been the first team, or probably 4 years. Then we've moved on to the academy to make sure that was strong. The next part of the phase is to try and build a women's academy, a ladies' academy that runs alongside. It's going to be in a few years, but them steady progressions to get there and keep building out. We've got fantastic people now, you know, Jack and Emery. The people, they're not just passionate. They're serious people about ladies football. They're serious people, and we've just got to keep trying to support that infrastructure. Go and get that. It's all about getting to the next level, getting promotions through the level, and just keep progressing. But the recruitment's been phenomenal. People again from the club that it was. We're attracting girls now that really want to come to the football club, want to be a part of the football club. So it's mirroring what's really happening in the first team. It's mirroring what's happening in the academy. But that's us getting better, understanding what it takes to recruit, and whether that's recruiting coaches, sports science, medical. It's just keep supporting that, and it'll grow and it'll develop. And yeah, that's something that is high on our list.
Any more questions?
What impact, if any, has the stand swap with Vale fans going into the Hamlet had on the staff and the players?
Positive result on results, obviously. I think the first time the club did it in the playoff semi-final against Swindon was obviously a good night. It's a great atmosphere, and in terms of the football club looking at the facilities we've currently got, they decided that you guys would have a much better experience at the other end of the pitch. So I hope you're enjoying being in that stand. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing on the pitch. And I think when the team are playing a football and winning games, it adds up to a much more enjoyable experience for obvious reasons. But the support from you guys, home and away, has been great. I hope it continues. I hope we continue to be successful on the football pitch and continue to get better. And I hope you guys stick with us. We're in a decent run of form at this moment in time. Unfortunately, we can't guarantee that will continue forever, and there'll be, I'm sure, some tricky moments along the way. But one thing I can guarantee that is whoever is out there on the pitch representing the football club is giving everything.
I think one thing I've noticed is that sort of the first year that I come, I didn't really feel as though the players that we brought to the club, there was a connection. I think now with the Iacoviti and the songs and the Garrity and even that connects the players. The families are up in the boardroom. It connects them. The walk that Andy's got where, you know, he wants the players to applaud the supporters and get that back, because they leave nothing out there. Everything they put into the game, the 90 minutes, the training sessions, you know, they're giving you everything from the club, and the supporters are staying behind for that more. The strategic plan around, you know, getting the big screen. I think the big screen's been a success, and it's for our it's for our fans. That screen's there for our fans, for us to watch, for us to join in, for us to be connected to the football plan. So, you know, hats off to the board and some brilliant minds, some brilliant people. You know, Patrick, you know, developing that idea, that concept. Patrick sits in that stand. He's trying to work out what's the right thing, what's the best thing. Matt Hancock's influence over these decisions, it's massive. We brought really good people to the football club to make decisions that hopefully better the football club. What we've got to always try and do from the football side is connect that back to our supporters, because it's you are the most important people at the club.
Any more questions?
Andy, if you were an opposition manager, how would you try to combat how we play from the back with the goalkeeper, the short balls up the pitch? How would you try to combat that if you're an opposition manager?
This has been filmed, hasn't it?
Pardon?
This has been filmed. I wouldn't have any idea how to stop us.
He's a Bolton fan.
Any final questions? No, in which case, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the panel. Director of Football, David Flitcroft, and the first team manager, Andy Crosby. The bar will remain open. And we have got Carol Shanahan over there, Patrick Shanahan, Matt Hancock, Kevin Shanahan, Richie Bates, if you want to pick his brains about anything. And Flicker mentioned Tommy. Tommy over there is head of recruitment. So everybody's going to be in the room for a bit to have a chat and have a talk. The bar will be open. Thank you very much. And don't forget, Saturday, obviously, we play Bolton. And on Sunday, we mentioned the women's game. Come and support the women's in the second round of the Women's FA Cup. So come to that as well.